Hello, and welcome to the Reselling Report for today, Monday, May 25th, 2020. I'm your host, Ann Eckhart, and every weekday morning I upload the Reselling Report here to YouTube to update you on the day's retail and e-commerce news, including the latest from eBay, Amazon, Etsy, and Poshmark. If you haven't done so already, I hope you'll subscribe. And now let's get on with today's show. Well, happy Monday, everyone. Here in America, it is Memorial Day, although we consider Memorial Day weekend as a holiday as a whole, the unofficial start to summer. And with the coronavirus outbreak, things are a little different this year. Parts of the country are still in the process of opening up, although the vast majority of the country in terms of retail, public spaces, whatnot, is open at some capacity with restrictions in place. So definitely the first time that people are starting to travel, starting to go out to eat, go shopping, go beaches. If you're lucky to live in an area where you have a beach, I get really annoyed being here in the middle of Iowa when I see people who live near the beaches complaining that they can't go to the beach. I'm like, seriously? First world problems. You know where I can go? The dirty, disgusting creek down the street or the nasty, gross lake that smells when you drive by it. Don't complain to me about your beaches. But yes, in all seriousness, hope you are being safe. And if you did any work for your reselling business, according to posts I'm seeing on Instagram, thrift stores are opening back up in more and more parts, and people are getting out to restock their inventory, and a lot of people want to donate. Now, our stores in my immediate area are open again for shopping, but they're still not open for donation. The regular Goodwills and another thrift store we have, they're not taking donations yet, but the outlet is not open yet. So it just varies. Again, I talked about this last week, that it's really important to follow your local Goodwill organization. They all have Facebook pages. So however Facebook, find the Goodwill chapter in your area, follow them to get the most up-to-date information. And I think all thrift stores are probably on Facebook. That's really the best place to find the most up-to-date information of where you can source now in store in your area. At the beginning of the shutdowns due to the coronavirus pandemic, the federal government here in the States issued some stimulus packages, and included in that were some things that businesses could apply for. According to a new article on CNBC.com, self-employed workers face an uphill battle on PPP loan forgiveness. The article reads, self-employed people who borrowed from the Paycheck Protection Program may have a tough time getting their balance forgiven. The PPP is a federal forgivable loan program that was established by the CARES Act. It's intended to cover up to 8 weeks of wages, mortgage interest, and other expenses for business disruptions during the coronavirus pandemic. The loan is supposed to be forgivable if at least 75% of the proceeds are used to cover payroll. No more than 25% can be used to other items. Borrowers have 2 years to repay any amounts that aren't forgivable at an interest rate of 1%. Though the Treasury Department and the SBA released an application for forgiveness last week, additional guidance has yet to arrive. Currently, the provisions for forgiveness are less generous for entrepreneurs who don't have employees. So this is really important because I know some people applied for these PPP loans, and they were loans if you didn't use the money towards paying entrepreneurs. Most of us who are resellers, self-employed, we don't have employees. So this is important information. For example, the amounts these individuals pay towards retirement and healthcare benefits aren't counted toward forgivable payroll costs. Only the amount they pay themselves. It seems like self-employed people won't get credit for anything other than salary, says Greg Zhu. Oh boy, he has a name. We're just going to skip it. A tax attorney at Breyer Andrew in Burbank, California. We still have some people who haven't applied for the PPP loan for these very reasons. Generally, the amount a business can borrow through the PPP is based on a firm's payroll, including healthcare and retirement plan contributions. It's a little different for independent contractors and the self-employed. They often run their business income through a checking account. They don't have a payroll. That's me. In turn, a maximum amount of forgiveness these individuals will receive for paying themselves is the lesser of 8 weeks of their 2019 net profit, which is spelled out on Schedule C of last year's income tax return, or a maximum of $15,385. As it currently stands, retirement plan contributions and healthcare premiums are not eligible for forgiveness as part of the payroll if you are self-employed. Further, the 75-25 guideline fails to consider self-employed people in areas with high rents. Rent and mortgage far exceed 25% of costs for locations in cities. They have low payroll and high overhead expenses. The SBA anticipated that primary costs for self-employed people would be paying themselves, according to its April 20th interim final rule. Many self-employed individuals have few of the overhead expenses that qualify for forgiveness under the Act. For example, many such individuals operate out of their homes, vehicles, or sheds. Who's working in a shed? Maybe like storage unit that they store stuff. Anyways, that's funny. I work from home in my shed, and thus do not incur qualifying mortgage interest, rent, or utility payments. As a result, most of their receipts will constitute net income. The forgiveness application doesn't address any of these pending issues, but lawmakers are hoping to attack some of these problems with newly proposed legislation. There's a new bill that would give borrowers up to 24 weeks to use the PPP proceeds and lift restrictions that cap non-payroll expenses at 25%. In the meantime, self-employed people are encouraged to borrow wisely from the PPP, keep the money in a separate bank account, and continue to carefully document how the funds are used. So, a lot of confusion still. It sounds like they still are trying to work out the exact details, but if you did get that PPP loan, I don't know what to tell you. It's beyond my pay grade to understand it and explain it beyond what I share with you here on the show. So it's always the most important thing to check with your accountant, lawyer, whoever you use to help you with your business to find out for sure. But hopefully we'll get some more guidance. Now, I did not apply for the PPP loan. I didn't get unemployment. I did get the disaster recovery loan, which is forgivable up to $10,000. I got $1,000 from that, so I'm assuming that's forgivable. But yeah, if you got the PPP loan, let me know what you think. What have you spent it? Have you gotten it? What are your thoughts? Turning now to eBay. If you are a Canadian eBay seller, there's a new post over in the announcements section on your site that's titled Updates on Product Features for Sellers. They are updating you on offers to buyers. You can negotiate your offers to buyers with a new counteroffer feature, and traffic report has been updated along with the promoted listings dashboard. So if you're in Canada selling on eBay, you now have a few updates to familiarize yourself with. Also, the former eBay CEO has walked away with $57 million. This is according to an article over on the Ecommerce Bytes blog. Former eBay CEO Devin Wenig walked away with a $57 million package last year, according to a company filing with the SEC. Of that, $780,769 was salary and $40 million was classified as other compensation. Good grief. Can I just have like 100,000 of that? I mean, I'd be set. Wenig left the company abruptly on September 24th under ambiguous circumstances. At the time, eBay chairman of the board, Thomas Tierney, cited a number of considerations, and Wenig said in a tweet he was not on the same page as the board. Whatever the circumstances of Wenig's departure, the May 20th, 2020 filing shows the eBay board considered his exit as termination without cause when evaluating the terms of his 2014 letter agreement with the company, sometimes referred to as the golden parachute provisions. So also had some other expenses, including in-home security, secured chauffeured transportation, personal airplane uses. Wow. The same filing shows eBay's CEO pay ratio, which we report each year. The median annual total compensation for eBay employees in 2019 was $130,636. Okay, who's getting paid that much? Because it's certainly not the people at the call center, but that's just me. The board chose to exclude Wenig's compensation and chose not to annualize the higher compensation Schenkel received during his role as interim CEO. Instead, it used Schenkel's, why these names? Actual total compensation over the year of $17,647,255 something. That's so many numbers I can't even read it out loud as to how much money it is. It's a boatload of money, including his nearly 9 months as CFO. So, yeah, you get fired and you still get a big fat pay cut. That's why it pays to be a CEO in America, I guess. If you sell on Amazon, you likely prepare for their Prime Day promotion every year. According to a new article on the Wall Street Journal website, Amazon targets fall for its Prime Day as it tries to return to pre-pandemic operations. Amazon.com is taking a number of steps to return to pre-pandemic business operations, including scheduling its annual Prime Day shopping promotion for the fall and allowing unlimited shipments of non-essential goods to warehouses, according to people familiar with the matter. Now, an official announcement has not been made, but just a heads up, if you do sell on Amazon, that Prime Day is normally in July. It's going to likely be in the fall this year, so you can plan accordingly. We've been following the post office's financial woes here on the show, and there's a new article on postalnews.com titled USPS Drops Uniform Pricing from Mission Statement. One of the U.S. Postal Service's trademark features has always been that Americans could reliably mail a letter to anyone in the country for a uniform price. In the age of Trump, that guarantee has apparently been tossed aside. The USPS has released a new mission statement that omits any mention of uniform pricing. Previously, the mission statement had promised that everyone living in the United States and its territories has access to postal products and services and pays the same for a first-class postage stamp regardless of their location. Instead, the new statement promises to, among other things, deliver a world-class customer experience, whatever that means. So now this is dealing with stamps, obviously not package prices, although they do offer flat rate pricing on their priority flat rate packages. But I don't know. Post office has got to make money, and as resellers, we need the post office to continue. So if they need to start adjusting stamp prices, although how would you determine? That would be so confusing. You're going to mail a letter here, it's this many stamps, or there, it's more. Not sure, but it was a change to their mission statement. It could be nothing. They may have just written a new mission statement, and now people are freaking out, but we'll keep our eye on it. Over on Poshmark's YouTube channel, they have posted a new AM to PM series where they follow a Poshmark seller, or the Poshmark seller, I guess, vlogs a day in their life. It's New Jersey native at Ness.Monet takes us along on a typical day in her life on this new episode of AM to PM. Whether she's studying for grad school or poshing part-time, she makes sure to bring the fun and positivity with her no matter what she's doing. There are a lot of these over on Poshmark's YouTube page, so it's definitely worth going over and checking them all out. Mercari has been aggressively advertising, according to a new post on MediaPost.com. In new TV ads, Mercari opts for upbeat. The pandemic may have Americans busy cleaning out their closets, but Mercari decided it wanted to skip the somber tone of most advertisers these days. In its new campaign, it's decidedly upbeat and playful, showing people virtually high-fiving as they make money getting rid of hand mixers, basketballs, and video game consoles. Walter Hanged, marketing director of the Palo Alto, California-based Ecommerce platform, says the new campaign was developed after the lockdown. We had a big push running in the first quarter, but with social distancing, it didn't feel as relevant. We had to rethink our plans. Since all video production has stopped, ad agency Rain got creative, dropping off lighting and props at actors' houses, and the actors filmed themselves. The resulting ads, with a nod to the Brady Bunch Zoom grid that's become America's world these days, emphasize Mercari's everything ships, no meetup model. So if you are a Mercari seller, you're getting some more advertising. Now, I have seen some Mercari ads. I haven't seen this particular one yet, but any advertising that the reselling sites do, I think is good, brings in more traffic, and hopefully that means it brings traffic to your item and that you sell it and make money. COVID-19 has put the nail in the coffin in a lot of retail businesses. There's a new article on CNBC.com that's titled, "This chart shows just how much America's malls are incredibly dependent on struggling retailers." The article reads, America's malls are incredibly dependent on struggling retailers, particularly department stores, and this could prove to be an even bigger issue for mall owners at the rate of retail store closures accelerates rapidly because of the coronavirus pandemic. And then it has a chart, and you can see how much of a percentage Some of these department stores, Macy's, JCPenney, Dillard's, take up at shopping malls, but also other stores like Barnes & Noble, we know, is in big trouble. Kohl's is down, although they are not filing for bankruptcy or anything like that. But the share of these struggling retailers in these malls. A new analyst by commercial real estate services firm CoStar found that 14 of the 20 largest mall tenants are either apparel retailers or department store chains. Names on that list include bankrupt Forever 21 and L Brands Victoria's Secret, which announced this past week it plans to close 250 stores with more closures on the way. Department store operators Macy's and JCPenney's take up the largest share of mall space in the U.S. Penny's filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy earlier this month and is already planning to shut down about 240 locations, or roughly 30% of its stores. Macy's told analysts this week that management is taking a hard look at its real estate and could accelerate previously announced plans to shut 125 stores over the next 3 years. The third largest tenant within America's malls is Dillard's, occupying 3.4% of space, followed by Sears at 1.7%. And I told you guys last week that our Dillard's at our mall is closing. We've already lost Penny's in the past few years. Sears is gone. We never had a Macy's, but yeah, stores are shuttering everywhere, which is going to seriously hurt the malls themselves. While mall owners such as Simon Property Group have been filling vacant retail space for years in the face of store closures from Sears, Bon-Ton, Claire's, Payless Shoe Stores, and others, the COVID-19 crisis is putting a glut of empty space back on the market at a rate nobody could have anticipated. They will likely have to turn to other uses such as storage facilities and warehouses to fill the voids. Under these pressures, some malls could go dark forever. Northgate Mall in Durham, North Carolina, for example, became the first regional mall to shut permanently during the pandemic. Its owners said in a statement, the severe impacts of the COVID-19 pandemic, which has changed the way we live and socialize, has resulted in extreme financial difficulties by the majority of their tenants and the property. If you're a well-located mall, chances are you'll come out of this just fine, said Joe Corindo, CEO of mall owner Priet. Man, I wish they would give, the pronunciations in these. Sorry. Some people sit here and believe we are going to spend the rest of our lives sitting at home in our pajamas and ordering everything online, but that's not it. So yeah, malls have been in trouble for a while. Destination malls are still doing well. Now here in Iowa, that would be Coral Ridge Mall. It's right at the intersection of a major interstate highway exchange, and then Jordan Creek Mall in Des Moines, which has a lot of good retailers and has built itself up as a retail destination. But malls in cities like mine are really struggling. We have two malls. One is, I think, 75% empty, 60% empty. It's pretty empty. And the other is, now that we're losing Dillard's, going to be hurting even more. So we're going to be losing more and more access to our retail stores, which I bring this up because it's going to affect what we see at our thrift stores, Goodwill outlets, that kind of thing, to pick up, to resell. So might mean traveling further to get secondhand items, or people will be traveling further to shop. They'll be shopping more online. That's what we'll see in the thrift stores. But in terms of clothing especially, it'll be interesting to see what the next year brings. If you've been worried about the future of reselling in light of the pandemic, have no fear. As I've said several times on the show, and I know others say as well, the best times for reselling are when the economy is down. Unfortunately, that's where we are, and that's probably where we'll be for quite a while. And reselling will survive and likely thrive over the next year or two. There's a new article on entrepreneur.com that's titled, Why You Should Bet on the Future of E-Commerce. The article reads, social distancing measures and business closures have significantly disrupted consumer spending habits. While this has created a period of uncertainty for many, e-commerce has instead been trending in a positive direction. The buying habits that have been changing are unlikely to suddenly shift back to they once were, even if things get, quote, back to normal. Because of this, now is the time to bet on e-commerce. Its future influence will be far greater than it has ever been. While marketers have been touting the growth of e-commerce for years, in reality, it has always been in the minority of total retail sales. Globally, e-commerce makes up a mere 14.1% of volume. In the United States, that total is even lower, making up 11.4% of total retail. The large-scale closing down of the brick-and-mortar economy has dramatically altered this picture. The U.S. Census Bureau reported that from March 2020, retail sales fell 6.2% year over year. Some retailers, like clothing stores, saw sales fall by more than 50%. At the same time, retailers with a strong e-commerce platform in place have seen their in-store sales replaced by digital purchases. Digital Commerce 360 reports that Target saw digital sales grow 275% since April, helping it be on pace for its best quarter since 2000, even with its in-store purchases declining. While some believe that these shifts are only temporary, consumer polling indicates that the shift to e-commerce is here to stay. Buyers enjoy the convenience of online shopping, and many will still be reluctant to return to old shopping habits even after the restrictions are lifted. So obviously this article is focusing on the large retailing sites, but it's the same thing for those of us who run small reselling businesses on eBay, Etsy, Poshmark, Amazon, Mercari, wherever you sell, antique mall, booth. Those type of stores may be in trouble, but usually the people who run antique malls also have Etsy shops and are selling on eBay. So it'll be interesting to see how it all plays out. While sales have been down, I feel the past week or so as things started to open up more. Overall, I think the online reselling sites will show strength and stability here, especially as we get into fall and winter, and God forbid there's a second wave of the virus, but it's definitely something to be prepared for. And that's a wrap on today's show. If you liked it, please be sure to give it a thumbs up and leave me a comment, even if it's just a hello or an emoji. That engagement really does help with YouTube's algorithm. You guys have been doing that. I really, really appreciate it. Also, check out the show notes below the video for links to the articles I referenced. You can email me your questions or reseller stories. My email is also below. Thank you so much for listening. I will talk to you again tomorrow. Have a great day. Bye.